So what I've got here, I've made a device that's sort of a, I guess you could call it a chop saw for very fine screws. It's got a dial indicator that indicates this travel. And I'm using it to hold very tiny screws in this jig at a certain length. I want to cut them to a certain length with this abrasive cutoff wheel here. And the idea is I've got this piece of brass and I've got it attached to this stage. And on this piece of brass here, I've also drilled a hole and embedded a magnet down in there with epoxy. And then in front of that, I've embedded in epoxy a cannula. That is the idea of the cannula is the outside dimension of the screws that I'm cutting. And these screws are 000-120 screws. And I need to cut them to an exact length so they fit into the drive mechanism. So what I'm going to do, I'm using the magnet here to retain the screw. When I slide this magnet over onto that one, it pushes against the screw head and forces it against the stop of this tube that's embedded in there. And then I'll make a cut approximately where I think it should be, and then I'll take a measurement and then figure out how far I need to advance my mechanism. And once I get it, the screw length exactly right, there's a lock button here. I can lock the drive down and just switch out the screws and load screws in there and cut each one of them to the same length. So I'll get started on that. I've got a screw in there. 3200 is the length that I want, and that's very near the edge of my brass, so I'm going to go in I'll try it right there. I'm going to lock that down, and I'm going to zero my dial indicator here. That way I'll know which way I need to go. Stage is locked, zeroed. I'm going to chop that little screw. And now I can move the magnet out of the way, pull the screw out and take a measurement of it. And I'm measuring from the bottom of the head. I'm going to have to get under a microscope for this one. Looks like I might be a little too short. So I take 0.32, subtract 0.299, and end up with 0.21. That's what I need to move my dial indicator to. I need to move it back. Screw's too short. There's 10 thousandths, 20 thousandths, and 1. We'll lock that in. And I'll load in a new screw. That screw is too short for this application, but I've got other drives that I can use it in. There we go. Man, couldn't see it right. Okay, so I got the screw in there. Let's bring the magnet back, hold it down. And hopefully we're going to be correct on this cut. see what we have now. I have to look at it under the microscope and take this measurement. It's very good. I got a 0.32, 0.3205. That's close enough. So I'm just going to run a few screws in there.